Welcome to YMT218 Object-Oriented Programming. We are going to have a new session for practical, or we will just try to learn a new example for graphical user interface applications in Python. This is the last chapter. We studied chapter 12. So in the previous three sessions, I explained, plus the theory, I explained about a lot of things related to GUI applications, and specifically the last few sessions we spoke about the customization of widgets, and we mentioned that we have different types of widgets and how we can use them, or the way we are supposed to use them. It depends actually on our application. However, we didn't exactly create a full application that runs in a professional way, the way we have like in our real programming world, or GUI applications, that things we use on daily basis. For example, things like this. We may have like score average, an application that averages the scores of your exams or assignments. Let's say we have 3 assignments here, and you enter for the score for the first assignment, let's say 80, okay, and let's say the second one, let's say 85, and the third one is let's say 90, and then we calculate the average. The average is supposed to be displayed here, so let's calculate now. Look, so we have different type of widgets here. We have label, we have entry, another label and entry, another label and entry, the way they are organized, and another label and another label, but with the display. So we receive the average and we display it here. We have these 2 widgets, buttons, calculate and quit. Now I didn't customize them. I will leave that for you. I mean, the way you customize these buttons, the way you create for them foreground, background, you change the size of the font and you customize those. We explained about it in previous sessions, so you can do it on your own. However, I didn't speak about quit. For this button, we have a specific way of design. It's not just a callback. I explained about the callback, but the callback before we explained was just displaying a statement or displaying another box, dialog box. Now we will register the event handling to display here, plus we will create this button that destroys the window like this. It terminates it. So we will go ahead and start writing. Now I'm going to use tk-enter, so I'll import all of its components, tk-enter, and then import all. Now I'm going to use object-oriented style, and I have a point to do that. Why? It's easier for me. I have different functions, plus a lot of variables that I need to, or attributes I need to access from different sides, including some of the functions. So that's why I'll restrict it to object-oriented. So what I'm going to do is I will create a class. I'll call it GUI. This is example 4 actually. So let's call it 4. We go directly to 4, GUI 4, and I'll create the initializer first, init, and then we need to receive self, the address of our instance. Once we receive the address of our instance, or in our instance here, now what we need to do is window. Now it's up to you. You make it a private attribute, or just normal attribute with public access. I'll just leave it this way. I'm not going to make it private in this application. Now remember that we don't need to provide tk-enter now. Actually, we shouldn't. Why? Because it's already available here, so I don't have to retype it again. We created our window. Now we customize this window. We explained about customizing this window before. Let's provide title for it. The title was average score, or score average. Yes, score average. Yes, score average. Score average. Or maybe average score looks better, I think. Well, it doesn't matter. It's up to you. The way you look at the application, I mean, is averaging a score or the result of an average score. So it's up to you, the way you see it. Then we set the size dot geometry. For the size here, what I'm going to do, well, I have a bit larger width than height, so I'm going to go for 250 pixels for approximately 130 or 100. Yeah, 130 is enough. Now, maybe you think, how did you know 130? Well, I mean, I am the one who designed the program in this case, but I can judge based on frames. I have 5 frames and I explained to you about it. So 5 frames, if you divide 130 over 5, I know exactly the rough number of pixels for each frame needed. Okay. So now the design had one label with one entry for the first assignment, another label, second label, the second entry for the second assignment, third label with third entry for the third assignment, then another label, that's the fourth label, with an output. Why? Because we type the average and in front of it the output. Then we have another fifth, actually not labeled, buttons. So we can create 5 frames, and frames actually organize your widgets like a container. They hold the widgets so that you can manage their placement. So we will create a frame. How to create a frame? Now we are using object-oriented, so we have to start by self. Give your frame a name. So frame, maybe I can call it FR1. No need to call it frame. It's easier for us to type. So frame. Similar to other applications, we use frame method self dot window. So I'm placing it where my frame 1 or FR1 is placed on window, and we will do this for all of them. So let me copy and paste, and I don't want to make any mistake here. Just I'll try to pay much attention to these names, because I need to create another one. 2, 3, okay. Oh, FR 3, okay. 4, and then 5. So I have 5 frames for 5 different scenarios that I need to place, or widget set I need to place. All right, so leave these frames now. What do we need to create? First of all, we need a label and an entry. Label for displaying things related to the instruction to user, like enter assignments. Assignment 1 is score, for example. So since we are going to create a label, we need to use self. This is an object-oriented, so give it a name, label 1. We have 4 labels, 4 different labels. That's why we need to create different names for them. Use label, and now customize it. So where to place it? Now I'm not going to place it directly to the window. I created these frames to use them to place these labels. So I will say self.fr1. So this label is placed on a frame, and this frame is placed on window. Why? Because we need to display in certain order. Okay. So this is the first argument. The second argument, you know that every label has its own text field, so we need to display some text, and text equals. So the text was enter assignment 1 is score, or enter the score of assignment 1, or whatever you like. So let me put triple quotes. I'll explain to you why triple quotes. Enter assignment 1 is, so we have an apostrophe, and that one needs triple quotes. So enter assignment 1, or maybe we leave it here like this. Okay, assignment. You see the apostrophe here. If you make it single quote wouldn't work. Double quote also could create a problem to you. Triple quote would work fine. Score. And we need to repeat this. Just change the name of the label and the frame. So we have three labels for three scores, three assignments. So I'll do it again. I'll change those. Second, and this is second. Third. So we have three frames and three labels. These three labels are placed on three different frames, and now I need to change this one also. I said I don't want to make this mistake. 3. Okay. It will work, but it would just say assignment 1, assignment 1, assignment 1, and that's not good. All right. So here what we are looking for is the placement, and we will manage this placement in a while. Now we have another label, and this label is actually for displaying just a straight or a direct text and then the output. So I'll create a label, another one. Okay, I'll call it 4. And this label will be used for a specific display. Okay, so the specific display, the text is here. I can use single quotes here. However, this one is not. This is 4. Must be 4. Okay. So here what we need to do is the average is. So I'm just displaying this text the way we are displaying here, but in front of it we will have another label that will display the average, the calculated average. Now in order for us to calculate the average, we need to apply some mathematical operation, so we can create a callback method that calculates this average and assigns it. Assigns it to what? To another label. So we need to create a label. But before we create a label, we need to create something we call string variable, StringVar. I explained about it in theory how. If you remember, I mentioned that if you're going to use a label for a display, then that display should use a string variable in order for you to place it or paste it actually on that label. So we will use self, maybe avg I call it, average equals string variable, StringVar. Okay, and that will allow me to receive this average somewhere from a call back method or function. All right. So let me create the last component here, the label, not lab, label 5 equals. Now this label will actually get, I could have copied, but no need. Will get the variable, this one, and place it. So it would be the output. So label, now let me encapsulate. Where am I going to place it? So it's the 4th. Why? Because now, look, this is the output. Sorry, this is the text, and this is the output next to it. So both of them are on the same frame. Okay, so I'm placing it on this frame, the same frame, and then I will not display a normal text. I'll display this. So I would say I have text variable, and this text variable is equal to avg. So go create avg, of course self, because we are using object-oriented, sorry. So avg by itself is not known to this program. It should be self. Okay. So now we created our last label in this case. So what do we need to create? The entries. So for this one we have an entry just in front of it, another entry, another entry. Okay, so let's try to create these entries all one by one. So again, we are using object-oriented self dot. Let's call it entry1 int1 equals entry, and for entry we need to specify the place or the position where we are placing it. So where will we place this entry? Now remember, we have a label, then in front of it, right next to it, we have an entry. So we need to place it on frame 1. So it's frame 1 component, right? Then what do you want to get? Actually, you need to specify the width. How many characters or how many, characters or fields are you going to get? Let's go for 10. So actually, if you are speaking about a score, most likely it will be composed of 3 digits out of 100, or maybe 2 digits out of 10. But let's go for 10 digits. Doesn't matter. Actually, we could do it 5 or 3 or 4, but this is just a field. Doesn't matter. So I'm going to repeat it. Why? Because we have 3. We have 3 inputs here. So I'm going to repeat it 3 times and fix the names. So this is 1, now this is 2. I'm going to do this 2, and this one 3. And remember that the second one is not supposed to be with frame 1, it's supposed to be with frame 2, and the third one is supposed to be with frame 3. Okay, so now for these, we have a label, first frame, entry, first frame, label, second frame, entry, second frame, label, third frame, entry, third frame. Then we have the average, text, and the output, fourth frame. So we have the fifth frame, we will keep it for buttons. We have 2 buttons, we have calculate and quit, so let's create them. What we can do, since we are using object-oriented, we have to use self. So I will create calc button bt equals. Now we used buttons before, we created some even customization for them. I will just use plain button. You customize it the way you like. I taught you how to customize it. Do it on your own. Okay. Self, where we are placing it. Also, now remember that we are using frames. So this is the last frame to be used. So we use fr5, not for5. Right. So for button, we have 3 main arguments where we are placing it. What's written or typed on it. So what are we going to type? Text. It was calculate, so I'll just stick to what was written there. Calculate. And then we could use the new line if actually needed. So now I think I better go to a new line. And now we need the command. So the command will determine what will be the event handler here, or what will be the action taken when the button is clicked. So the button will be clicked, what will happen? So I will calculate. So what I'm going to do is I will create a method. I'll call it calculate. You can call it whatever you like, but give it a name that makes sense. All right. So here we created the first button, calculate, and then let's create another button. So self, we have quit. So we call it quit button, bt equals, use the module here. And again, self, where are we placing it? Also on the 5th frame. So the last frame we created, this one, will be used for both buttons, side by side. Text, what is written or what's typed on it? Quit, right? So quit. And then what's the action to be taken? Now for quit, I didn't teach you before. It's extremely easy. All we need to do is to destroy the window that we are using as our root. So I will use self, I don't want to make any typo, self dot window, what's the root name? Now look, window dot destroy. That will just terminate my whole window. So the window, the GUI here will collapse, will be terminated. All right. So now remember that we need to create a callback here, calculate. But before that, we need to do a very important part of the whole design now. Remember that we have this one before this, or on top, and this one on top of this. And we have this entry right next to this. So how can we place them? We can use the pack method to do that. How can we do it? Now look, self dot label one dot pack. Now I'll just set it to left. Side equals left. This is a string. Left. And then I'll do this to all of them. Okay. You may wonder why left. In a basic sense, left here will just place the first component and then the next one right next to it, to the right. So they will be just left justified, but they will follow each other, or the next one will follow the first one on the same frame. Okay, that's what we saw earlier. So how many buttons I have? How many labels I have now? I have three. These three. Let me do them first. So 1, 2, 3. These three first. Then we do this one, the fourth one. But before doing the fourth one, now look, since I'm packing, what will come next to this? Okay, on the frame, the first frame, now look, first frame, we have label 1, LB1, and we have entry 1, right? So we will do this. Either you can do it right next to it, it's up to you, it doesn't matter. The order here exactly doesn't matter, but it matters when we place them, if they are next to each other on the same frame. So this one and this one, the order matters. Now I'll show you. Now let me just give a new line. Entry 1 and enter 1 dot pack side equals left. So where are we packing here? We are packing on the frame 1 for both components or widgets, the label and the entry. So which one comes first? Label 1. Why? Because this is its sequence. I placed it according to the sequence, and the sequence says that LB1 comes before this. If I flip them, so the entry will be before the text, and that would be a bit weird. So this is the idea. What we can do is the same here. I'll just repeat this one, change its name, or I copy it here and change the details. So 2, because we have entry 2, I'll do the same here. Entry 3, or the third entry, and 3. Okay, now we have also label 4 and label 5. So label 4 and 5, now remember, this is label 4, just a text to display the average, label 5. So this one comes before this. That was the sequence available in our GUI. So I'll do this, self dot label 4 dot pack and side equals left. Then I'll repeat this for just label 5, only this one will be changed. Now we could have done all the labels first and all the entries next, it's up to you, but this style is more readable to me. Label, entry, label, entry, label, entry, then label and label. So it sounds to me like the way GUI is designed by itself. Okay, it's a matter of preference. It's up to you to choose. Now, the last frame has 2 components or 2 widgets, the calc button and the quit button. So we need to place them, or pack them. I'll use self dot what was its name, calc bt, and also pack. Now I want it to be I want them to follow one another, so I will use the same idea, side equals left. This is string. I'll do the same to quit, I'll change this one to quit button pt. And now, okay, we packed all the widgets. We need to pack the frames. So let's pack the frames. self.fr1.pack. I'm not going to place them anywhere left or right or whatever, just leave them by default. And remember, yesterday I spoke about default, what it means. Get back to the videos, my videos since yesterday, go check them, please. Self fr3.pack. I could have copied, pasted them. That's okay, I'm about to finish. fr4.pack, fr5.pack. So we packed all of them. Now what's left to us? We enter the main loop to allow the main window to be displayed continuously until we terminate it. So self.main, not main, not window, I'm sorry, because sometimes I use main, dot main loop. And now we need to create another method other than the initializer, the constructor of this class. This method will just create the event handling of the button click. So when we click on a button, there will be an event handling. So this one is def. Let me just leave a new line here. And let me give you a space so that you can see. Def, it was what we called it calculate. It was written, I don't want to make any typos, calculate, okay. Calculate, and we have to receive self. And then here, what we need to do. Now we need to calculate the average. Now we have 3 entries. So what we will do, we will define self.average equals to what? We have 3 entries, and these entries will receive string, very similar to input from the user. So we need to cast them float. So I'll do this step once because I need to sum up. So I need to sum up and divide by 3. So I'll do it once. So float for the first entry. How to get the first entry? Self dot ent1 dot get. That will get me whatever provided in ent1 as an entry, but it will get it to me as a string. Okay, so I'm not interested in a string, I'm interested in float, so I convert it. Now I'll just extend this one, concatenate it. So I'll do the same process. I'll apply float to the rest of them and get them get them again to my calculation. So I have other 3. Why don't I copy it so that I just shorten the period of typing. Okay, no, here we need this one. Okay, we need this one. Missing one, yes, of course. I was telling myself I'm missing one. Okay, so the third one, float. So I don't have any extension here. So I get the first entry is component, I convert it to float. The second entry is component, I convert it to float. The third entry is component, I convert it to float. I sum them up. Okay, sum them up. And then after summing them up, I need to divide by 3. Why? Because we need to take the average. Now, once this average is calculated, that's not the end of it. Why? Because we have an output. This output, if you remember, we created a label for it, label 5, and we said it's a string variable. It's called avg. So I have to paste or place this avg where on its own label. So I'll do it here in the same callback of this method. So I'll say self.avg.set. That will set some value where the average is supposed to be set. What to set? The average. This average we just calculated. So we calculated it, and then we display on a label. What's the label? avg. It's a string variable. String variable. Okay. So that's pretty much of it. We need to get out of all this and create. Maybe we can create a main and call it. Or we can instantiate directly. No need. Now I'll just instantiate directly in this case. GUI equals GUI 4, right? We called it 4, right? Yes, 4. And this is an instantiation. Let's save and run. I have positional argument follows. Okay, let me check. I have done something wrong. Let me just check what could be my mistake here. I'm sure I missed something. Okay, self.window.destroy. Sounds to me fine, but I'm not sure. Let me check. Sometimes when I fall in these mistakes, I cannot see them exactly quickly. I take time to diagnose them. Let me check. There is some mistake in the placement. Let me just try to pull it all the way here. Of course. Yeah, I said I cannot see. I was just looking at command here and not looking at this one. I thought I'm just typing this command. Of course, if I don't type this command, it wouldn't work. Why? Because self.window.destroy is supposed to be a command. Because they were really close to each other, I didn't pay attention. I always, when I type these things, I cannot pay attention to them. It must be same, just identical to this command. Why? We have a command here for call back, and this one is actually for destroy. For sure, that was an obvious problem. I didn't actually pay attention to it. We have another problem. Geometry, of course, this is a typo. I said I always do all these typo things. Sometimes I think that I typed it, but maybe I didn't pay attention while typing. All right. Again, no attribute avg. Yeah, of course, agv. That's also silly. Let me just check. Where is it? avg. Set avg. So where did I place it? Let me check. avg. I need to get the line because there are so many of them. You can see it. We just get the line. Okay, self.label 5. Yeah, label 5. Self.label 5. Yeah, here, this one. Yes. Of course, it wouldn't work. Right, that's it. We don't have our buttons. That means I didn't place them. Yeah, seems I didn't pack the buttons. Did I? Yeah, I did. So what's missing? Let me check. Let me check. Okay, frame 5, yes. Frame 5, yes. Of course, I forgot. Look, this is very good. This is very good. Guys, look, because I said I copy paste, sometimes I make this mistake. Now, because we didn't actually pack frame 5, so I packed frame 4. Due to that, what happened is frame 5 actually was not packed, only frame 4 twice, so that's why frame 5 was not displayed. Now we have it in full. Okay, it's normal to have these mistakes, especially if you are just typing like a while ago. I mean, just while you are just explaining and typing, speaking and typing, usually we make these mistakes. It's normal. I don't want to edit them. I don't want to edit these mistakes and remove them. I want them to remain so that you learn from them. So now I will do a few things. Score average, this is the title. This is the first label, the first entry, the second label, the second entry, the third label, the third entry, and the average. And we are supposed to get the average here, calculate and quit. Now let's do it. 80, then 90, then 100. So we know that the average here will be, that's not possible. That means I have some mistake here. Let me check in my calculation. No, there must be a mistake. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I said I don't want to make these silly mistakes. Entry 2 and entry 3. So if you copy and paste, please do not do my mistakes. Like copying and pasting, if you don't change these values, for sure, the average will be average only for one of them, which is entry 1. Now it's fixed. Let me try, see now. 80, 90, 100. And that is calculated to 90. Okay. You can use whatever value you want. Now I'll try to quit. You see the window is destroyed. And let's try to repeat again. Now I have a chronic problem with this, and I want you to fix it. I want you to find a solution for it. Now, if you enter here numerical values, the output will be fine. But if you don't enter any numerical value or any value at all here, we will have a problem. Now look, I'll just keep them empty, nulls, and look what happens. Because these are nulls actually, so we are getting value error exception. Please try to include some exception for it so that it works with no problem if the user doesn't enter anything, or it doesn't give this warning. So it ignores it, or it tells the user maybe by a message or something that you must input some numerical value here, not just null or a string. Okay, maybe because the user may enter something like maybe 90, maybe, or well, maybe 100 or some value, like I don't know, some maybe instead of typing like 80 or 90 or 100, maybe the user will just type it this way. In that case, of course, let's say 100, maybe I don't know, the rest, whatever the user maybe thinks like this, 50. Maybe things like I can use either way, like written or typed. I mean, either text or value, then we will have a problem here. So it wouldn't calculate, I wouldn't get the average. Try to manage it, try to find a way to solve this problem, okay? Well, that's it actually for this session. And there are other widgets. There are not much of actually, how to say, they're not more complicated than what we explained. A few things actually I didn't go in details, like radio buttons and check boxes. Please do them on your own. It's really not hard. The idea I explained here of having a string variable, we can apply it, but we need to apply another thing for values for the check boxes and for the radio buttons. Try to search and do it. Well, we don't have to explain everything to you. At least we put you through the beginning of the way, so you can carry on your own. This will be the last video for the whole semester. If you have any question, feel free to get back to me and ask. And good luck with your assignments and exams. Goodbye.